All right, let's just jump right into this because it's a wild one. We're talking about one of the most incredible paradoxes in history. It's a story of a woman whose job, let's be honest, put her at the absolute bottom of the social ladder. And yet, she ends up in one of the most famous family trees ever. I mean, it's a story that just completely flips the script on who we think can be a hero. And really, that quote gets to the heart of what we're digging into here. This is so much more than just some old story. It's this powerful idea about what's really there versus what we see on the surface. You know, the idea that maybe, just maybe, no one is ever too far gone to be redeemed or too broken to be picked for something amazing. So, that's the big question, right? How on earth does a woman who's basically marked for death in a doomed city not only survive, but become a mother of kings? I mean, an ancestor to both King David and Jesus? It sounds impossible. So yeah, let's unpack this thing. Okay, so our story kicks off in this ancient, heavily fortified city called Jericho. And you've got to understand, Jericho wasn't just any city. It was like the front door to the Promised Land, and it was the very first major roadblock for the Israelite army. Now, you have to remember, the Israelites had already tried something like this. About 40 years earlier, a spy mission went badly. It ended with a report so full of fear that it cost them an entire generation in the wilderness. So the new leader, Joshua, he is not about to make that same mistake twice. This time, the mission is small, it's stealthy, and everything is riding on it. And this is where our story's hero, and a really unlikely one at that, comes in. The two spies, they don't hide out in some field or a cave. Nope, they head straight for the home of a woman named Rahab, a prostitute. Her house was literally built into the city wall, which is a great spot, sure. But more than that, it was the perfect cover. It was the last place anyone would ever think to look for enemy spies. So the spies have barely even settled in when, boom, their cover is blown. Word gets to the king of Jericho super fast, and then comes that knock on the door that's about to change, well, everything for Rahab. And let me tell you, this is not a friendly visitor. It's the king's guards. They know the spies are in the city, and they know they went into her house. So for Rahab and for the two men she's hiding, this is it, the moment of truth. One wrong word, and they are all dead. Simple as that. Think about this. She has to make an impossible life or death decision right then and there. She can obey her king, hand over the spies, but it seems she already believes her city's days are numbered anyway. Or she can side with these strangers, betray her entire city, and face instant execution if she gets found out. I mean, what would you do? She makes her choice. Defiance. After hiding the spies up on her roof, she walks to the door, looks the king's guards straight in the eye, and just lies. She calmly sends them on a complete wild goose chase. It is an absolutely incredible gamble. All right, so the immediate threat is gone, but the story is just getting started. Up on that rooftop, Rahab doesn't just shove the spies out the window and say, good luck. No, she seizes this moment. She starts to negotiate for her life and for the lives of her entire family. And this is so important. This is the why. Why did she take such a massive risk? It wasn't just about saving her own skin. Rahab tells the spies that everyone in Jericho is terrified. They've all heard the stories about the Israelites' God, a God who could part the Red Sea. In her mind, the power of this unseen God was way bigger and way scarier than the power of her own king. So she makes a deal. She demands a promise, a sworn oath. When your army comes, you have to spare my family, my father, my mother, my brothers and sisters, all of them. And the spies agree. They give her their word, saying, our lives for your lives. But there's a catch. One very important condition. She can't tell anyone about their mission. And here's how they'll know. The spies tell her to take the very same scarlet rope she's about to use to help them escape and just leave it hanging in her window. That red cord will be the signal to the Israelite army, this house is off limits, don't touch anyone inside. It becomes this physical symbol of their pact. So the spies get away, and Rahab ties that scarlet cord in her window. And now she waits. Before long, the whole Israelite army shows up, and they begin what has to be one of the strangest military sieges of all time. I mean, just try to imagine what this was like for the people inside Jericho, or for Rahab watching from her window. For 6 straight days, this massive army just marches around the city once, in total silence, and then they go back to their camp. It must have been so weird, so unnerving. Then, on the 7th day, they circle it 7 times. And then, the priests blow their trumpets, and the entire army lets out this huge, deafening shout. And just like that, the impenetrable walls of Jericho, the city's biggest defense, their pride and joy, they just crumble. The scripture says they just fell flat. The whole city, in a single moment, is left completely exposed. Okay, so now you've got total chaos in the middle of all that destruction. It would have been so easy for a promise made to a prostitute from an enemy city to just get lost in the shuffle. But it wasn't forgotten. Right in the middle of giving orders for the city to be completely destroyed, Joshua gives this one very specific command. Find the prostitute's house, the one with the red cord, and bring her and everyone inside out to safety. The oath had to be kept. And that is exactly what those 2 spies went and did. So what happens to Rahab and her family now? Well, they're not just saved from destruction and then sent on their way. They're actually brought into the community. The text points to Israelite law at the time, which actually allowed for foreigners to join them. So Rahab, a Canaanite, she adopts their faith and becomes one of them. And this, right here, is where the story takes its most unbelievable turn. Because her life isn't just spared. It becomes foundational. That single act of courage up on that rooftop set off a ripple effect that would echo through history for centuries. I mean, just look at this family tree. Rahab marries an Israelite named Solomon. Their son? His name is Boaz. Yeah, that Boaz. The one who marries Ruth. And that line goes straight down to King David, Israel's most legendary king, and eventually, as Matthew's gospel records, all the way to Jesus. The woman who was a total outcast literally becomes a matriarch of this incredible lineage. And her legacy is sealed centuries later in the New Testament. In this chapter, that's basically the Hall of Fame of faith. We're talking Abraham, Moses, all the heavy hitters. Right there among them is Rahab. And she's not remembered for her past. She is celebrated for her faith. But wait, there's more. The book of James gives us another angle. It points out that it wasn't just about what she believed in her heart. She was considered righteous because of what she did. Her actions, hiding the spies, sending them off safely, were seen as the proof of a faith that was real and alive. So when you boil it all down, what's the takeaway? What does this ancient story really mean for us? I think it makes this incredibly powerful point that where you come from or what you've done, it doesn't have to define your future. It shows that a single act of faith, especially from someone the world has totally written off, can actually, literally, change the course of history.